Hey friend, welcome back to the Pursuit of Freedom series. If you're new here, I'm so glad that you found this space. I truly believe that you are here for a reason, and I hope that this series speaks to your heart in a way that encourages you, uplifts you, and helps you step into the freedom that you were always meant to have. And my heart behind this series is to walk with you and to help you recognize the areas where you might be stuck and to help guide you towards healing, peace, and a life that feels lighter and more aligned with who you truly are. I know what it's like to feel weighed down by stress, by expectations, and by the pressure to always keep going. But I also know what it feels like to break free and to finally breathe deeply and to step into a life of true peace, purpose, and freedom. And that's what I want for you too. This series is an extension of the Pursuit of Freedom podcast and workbooks designed to take you even deeper into these life-changing topics. Together, we're going to unpack the things that have been holding you back, uncover the truth about who you really are, and step into a life that reflects the fullness of who God created you to be. You don't have to have it all figured out, and you don't have to do this alone. And you are not stuck. You are on a journey, and I'm so honored to walk alongside of you in it. So today, we're talking about something so many of us experience, but we don't always recognize: living in survival mode. Maybe you've been feeling overwhelmed, constantly on edge, exhausted no matter how much you sleep, or just like you're getting through each day instead of truly living. Maybe you feel like you're stuck in a cycle that never seems to end, where the demands of life keep piling on, and no matter how hard you try, you just can't seem to catch a break. I know how that feels because I've been there too. I've walked through seasons where I felt like I was barely keeping my head above water, where stress and exhaustion became my default state, and joy felt like a distant memory. So if any of this sounds familiar to you, I want you to know that you're not alone, and most importantly, you're not meant to stay in that place forever. And you are not broken, you are not failing, and you are not too weak for feeling overwhelmed. Your body and your mind have simply been doing their best to try and protect you in these difficult seasons. But you don't have to live like this forever. There is a way out. There is hope, there is healing, and there is a future where you can thrive instead of just surviving. And I want to help you to take those first steps towards reclaiming your life, your peace, and your joy. So here's the thing. When you've been stuck in survival mode for so long, it can start to feel like this is just how life is supposed to be. Like stress, exhaustion, and constantly pushing through all of this is just a part of the deal of life. But that's not true. You are not meant to just get by in life. You are meant to thrive. You are meant to live and to experience joy and to walk in the fullness of peace that God has for you. So in this video, we're going to take a deep dive into what survival mode really is, how it silently can affect your body and your mind, and most importantly, how you can begin the process of stepping out of it and into a life that feels full, peaceful, and free. I know how overwhelming it can feel to even think about change when you've already been running on empty. But I also know that transformation is possible. I've been where you are, and I've walked through this process of healing, and I promise you, if I can do it, so can you. So take a deep breath and settle in, because we're going to start this journey together. Because healing is a process, freedom is a choice, and transformation happens one step at a time. For most of my life, I didn't even realize that I was living in survival mode. It wasn't something that I recognized as a problem, because for so long it was just my normal. I was always on high alert, constantly bracing for the next thing to go wrong, and always trying to manage and control every little detail just to feel some sense of safety. My mind was always running, always anticipating, and always preparing for worst case scenarios. And the most exhausting part was, it never stopped. I couldn't turn it off. It was stuck on the on position, full time. I thought that was just how life was supposed to be. I told myself that stress was normal, that being overwhelmed was just part of being an adult, and that pushing through exhaustion was the only way to keep up. I convinced myself that if I could just hold everything together just a little bit longer, and if I could be strong enough or work hard enough, and just stay one step ahead of every single problem, then maybe, just maybe, I would finally feel safe, or finally feel at peace. But that moment never came. Instead, the more that I pushed myself, the more exhausted I became, and I kept waiting for life to slow down, for things to settle down, and for the day that I could finally exhale. But that day never arrived. The weight of constantly being on high alert and of carrying the pressure of holding everything together started taking a toll on my body and my mind. I didn't even realize that I had lost touch with myself, and that I had been operating in survival mode for so long that I had forgotten what it was truly like to live. I kept thinking that if I could just cross one more thing off of my list, fix one more situation, or prove myself just one last time, then maybe I could finally rest. But peace doesn't come from pushing harder. It doesn't come from controlling every outcome or running yourself into the ground. It comes from surrender. It comes from letting go of the belief that you have to do everything on your own, and from allowing yourself to just simply be, without feeling like you have to try and earn your worth. And maybe you felt like all of this too. Maybe you've been running on empty for so long that you don't even know what it feels like to be rested, or to be fully present, or to be fully alive. Maybe you've been stuck in this constant state of go, 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 feeling like if you slow down, everything's just gonna fall apart. But I need you to hear this. You were not meant to live like this. You were not created just to survive each day by barely making it through. You were meant to thrive, and I want to help you step into that. The truth is, survival mode is not just about being busy or stressed. It's about living in a state where your body and your mind are constantly on high alert, preparing for something to go wrong. It's like waking up and feeling exhausted before the day even begins. It's feeling like no matter how much you accomplish, it still is never enough. It's losing touch with the things that used to bring you joy because you're too busy to try and even keep up. And after a while, this way of living becomes automatic, and you stop questioning it. You stop realizing how heavy it feels, and it just becomes your new normal. Until one day, you wake up and realize you don't even recognize yourself anymore. And the reason that this happens is because your body is wired for survival. When you go through prolonged stress, your nervous system shifts into a constant state of fight or flight, trying to protect you. It doesn't know the difference between a real, immediate danger, like being chased by a wild animal, and the ongoing stress of everyday life, like financial struggles, relationship issues, or the pressure to constantly try and perform. To your body, stress is stress, and when it becomes chronic, it starts to take a toll on your health in ways that you may not even realize. Your nervous system becomes dysregulated, making it harder for you to relax, sleep, or even process your emotions clearly. Your body stays flooded with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which over time can lead to chronic fatigue, anxiety, digestive issues, muscle tension, and even some autoimmune conditions. It's why you might feel tired but still wired at the same time, too exhausted to function but unable to truly rest. It's why even the smallest tasks can feel overwhelming, because your brain is operating as if you are in a constant state of emergency, making it even more difficult to focus or feel present in your own life. But here's what's important to understand. Your body is not broken, and it's not failing you. It's actually doing exactly what it was designed to do. It was designed to protect you. Your nervous system is wired to keep you safe, to respond to stress, and to ensure your survival. When stress becomes chronic, your body stays in a heightened state of alert, keeping you stuck in survival mode even when the danger is no longer real. It's not because you're weak, and it's not because you're not trying hard enough. It's because your body has adapted to a high stress environment and it's doing its best to help you try and cope. But you don't have to live this way forever. You can actually teach your body that it is safe again. You can begin to gently rewire your entire nervous system, letting it know that it doesn't have to be on high alert all the time. And this shift doesn't happen overnight, but through intentional steps like slowing down, reconnecting with yourself, and learning how to breathe deeply again, and choosing peace over pressure, you can start moving towards healing. And you can shift from a state of survival to a state of peace, where your nervous system can then regulate itself, and where your body can finally heal, and where you can finally fully experience life instead of just pushing through it. And the most beautiful thing is, you don't have to do it alone, because healing happens through connection. Connection with yourself, connection with others, and connection with God. You are not meant to carry the weight of life on your own, and you don't have to figure this all out by yourself. You are worthy of rest, of healing, and of a life that feels light instead of heavy. And friend, no matter how long you've been in survival mode, you can begin to take steps towards freedom today. So you might be wondering, how do you begin to shift out of this survival mode? Well, the first step is recognizing it. And that's exactly what we're going to dive into next, is helping you identify the signs, understand how they might be showing up in your life, and then take the first steps towards reclaiming your peace and your joy. One of the first steps in shifting out of survival mode is learning to recognize when you're stuck in it. It can be easy to normalize stress and exhaustion, especially when life feels relentless. But take a moment and ask yourself, how do I truly feel? If you're constantly drained, overwhelmed, or just barely making it through the day, your body and mind might be trying to tell you something. You might be in survival mode if you wake up exhausted, no matter how much you sleep. Or maybe your mind never fully slows down and you're always thinking about what's next. You're replaying conversations and worrying about things that you can't control. You might also be in survival mode if small tasks feel overwhelming. Like even the simplest things take too much of your effort. You might even notice physical symptoms like headaches, stomach issues, muscle tension. It can also show up as feeling emotionally numb, like you're disconnected from your own feelings and the people around you. Maybe you've lost interest in the things that you used to enjoy, or you feel like you're just going through the motions instead of truly living. You might find yourself easily irritated, snapping at your loved ones over the smallest things, or feeling like you're on edge without ever knowing why. And for some people, survival mode can even manifest as forgetfulness or brain fog, like struggling to concentrate, constantly misplacing things, or feeling like your mind is always scattered. And then there's the way that it impacts your decision making. When your brain is in survival mode, it's actually wired to focus only on getting through the day, not long-term planning or deep reflection. So you might avoid making decisions altogether because they can feel overwhelming. Or you might stay stuck in patterns that no longer serve you simply because change feels too exhausting to even consider. And over time, this can leave you feeling stuck, like no matter how hard you try, you're trapped in the same cycle with no way out. So friend, if any of this sounds familiar, please know that you're not alone and nothing is wrong with you. Your body and your mind have been doing their best to try and protect you, but you don't have to live like this. Recognizing these patterns is the first step in your healing, but there's so much more hope for the journey ahead. Now that we've identified what survival mode looks like, the next step is learning how to move out of it and step into a life that feels more peaceful, more fulfilling, and truly aligned with who you are. This is not about making drastic changes overnight. It's about taking small but powerful steps towards your healing. And one of the first things that I had to learn in this process was how to slow down. I had spent so many years pushing, striving, and living in overdrive that the idea of resting actually felt foreign, even kind of uncomfortable at first. But slowing down was not about doing nothing. It was about creating space for what actually mattered. It was about giving my body and my mind permission to breathe, to reset, and to process. I started by incorporating small moments of stillness into my day, whether that was spending 5 extra minutes in the morning for quiet prayer time, stepping outside for fresh air, or simply pausing long enough to ask myself, what do I need right now? And at first, it felt unnatural, like I was wasting time. But over time, I realized that those small pauses were where my healing started. Slowing down doesn't mean doing nothing. It means being intentional about how you move throughout your day. It means drinking your coffee without scrolling on your phone, driving without rushing from place to place, and actually listening when someone is talking to you instead of thinking about what you need to do next. It means finding small ways to be present instead of constantly living in a future moment that hasn't even happened yet. I also started journaling, not just about what was happening in my life, but about what I was feeling. I gave myself permission to process emotions instead of pushing them aside, and I started reintroducing creativity into my life and doing things for joy rather than for an end result. I finally started to allow space for the things that brought me back to myself. The more I prioritized moments of stillness, the more I felt like my body was able to relax, my mind was able to clear, and my heart was able to open up again. And friend, that's what I want for you too. Because true healing begins the moment that you give yourself permission to just slow down and be. And another step in this process was reconnecting with my body. When you've been in survival mode for a long time, you often become disconnected from yourself and you stop listening to the signals that your body is trying to send you. I had ignored all of my exhaustion, my headaches, and my stress-induced tension for so long that I barely even noticed them anymore. But when I started paying attention, I realized that my body was actually trying to communicate with me all along. So I began practicing simple things like deep breathing, stretching, and grounding exercises. I started doing things that felt good rather than just what was productive. I spent time outside, letting the sun hit my skin, and simply brushing my horses and allowing myself to be fully present in the moment. I took intentional breaks throughout my day, not just to rest, but to check in with myself and to ask myself, what do I need right now? And I learned to listen to my body without shame, guilt, or judgment in a way that I had never allowed myself before. And for me, reconnecting with myself also meant making space for things that brought me joy, playing with my horses, reading a book for fun, or simply letting myself laugh without feeling guilty for not being productive. And when you allow yourself to step out of autopilot and actually experience your life, you begin to shift out of survival mode and back into alignment with who you truly are. And as I reconnected with my body and my heart, I slowly started to feel a shift. I started feeling safe again, not just physically, but emotionally. I realized that healing wasn't about doing more. It was about learning to be with myself, exactly as I was, and knowing that that was enough. And another crucial step was challenging the beliefs that had kept me stuck in survival mode for so long. I had told myself that my worth was tied to how much I accomplished, and that rest was lazy, and that I had to keep pushing or I would fall behind. But those were lies. The truth was, my worth was not something that I had to earn, and neither is yours. You are already enough exactly as you are without needing to prove yourself to anyone. Letting go of these deeply ingrained beliefs was not easy. For a long time, I felt like slowing down meant that I was failing, and that if I wasn't constantly doing something, I was no longer valuable. And it took time to rewrite that narrative and to remind myself that my value was not determined by my productivity, but that I was loved and worthy just simply because I existed. And the more that I leaned into that truth, I realized that rest was not a weakness. It was actually a necessity. I also realized that taking time to breathe, reflect, and just be was not taking away from my life. It was actually starting to give me my life back. And releasing those false beliefs also meant learning to speak to myself with kindness again. Instead of constantly pushing myself to do more, I started asking, what do I need today? Instead of criticizing myself for resting, I reminded myself that I was honoring my body and my mind. And with every intentional act of self-compassion, I could feel the layers of pressure begin to melt away. I was no longer just surviving, I was actually starting to truly live again. And perhaps the biggest shift for me came when I started to invite God into my healing journey. I had spent so much time trying to do everything on my own and carrying burdens that weren't even mine to carry. But the moment that I surrendered and I asked God to guide me, everything started to change. I asked Him to show me where I needed healing and to lead me towards peace and to help me release the fears and the pressures that I had been holding on to for so long. And He showed up. He didn't ask me to figure it all out on my own. He simply asked me to trust Him and to take it one step at a time and to believe that I was already loved, already worthy, and already whole, exactly as who I was and how I was. And friend, I want you to know that the same thing is true for you. No matter how heavy life feels right now, and no matter how long you might have been stuck in survival mode, you are never too far gone to find peace again. And you don't have to carry it all by yourself. You don't have to have it all figured out. God is not waiting for you to be perfect. He's simply inviting you to lean on Him and to trust that He will meet you where you are and to know that healing is possible, even if you can't see it yet. So, as you take steps towards your healing today, give yourself permission to move at your own pace. There is no rush, and you are not behind. You are not broken. You are on a journey, and every small step forward is a victory. So start where you are today and take a deep breath. Let go of the weight that was never yours to carry, and know that you are deeply loved, fully seen, and never alone. This is your invitation to step into healing, and to step into peace, and to step into the life that you were created for. And I want to remind you that it will not happen overnight, but every act of self-care, every moment of stillness, and every time that you choose peace over pressure, you are rewiring your body and your mind for freedom. And if you need more guidance, I want to walk alongside of you on this journey. So that's why I've also created the Pursuit of Freedom and the Pursuit of Purpose workbooks, along with the Pursuit of Freedom podcast. The Pursuit of Freedom workbook will help you break free from survival mode, while the Pursuit of Purpose workbook will help you step into a life of alignment and joy. And if you need more encouragement along the way, the podcast is always here for you. And I want to remind you that you are not alone in any of this, and you are capable of healing. And you are so worthy of living a life that feels free. So keep taking those steps forward, keep choosing yourself, and keep trusting that your healing is unfolding exactly as it's meant to be. I'd like to finish this video today by praying over each and every one of you and by inviting God into your healing journey. I've walked through a lot of this on my own, but I never was alone because I had God with me. And I pray, my heartfelt prayer is that all of these videos and all of this guidance and all of this wisdom and ideas and resources that I can share with you, that it would bring you closer to Jesus in the process and remind you that you really are not alone. So I want to go ahead and pray for you guys today. So Heavenly Father, I come before you today with a heart full of gratitude for the one who is listening to this prayer and watching this video. The one who has been pushing, striving, and carrying so much for so long. The one who has been stuck in survival mode, barely keeping their head above water. The one who has been exhausted, overwhelmed, and wondering if life will ever feel lighter. Lord, you see them, you know them, and you love them deeply. So right now, Lord, I ask that you would meet them exactly where they are, in their weariness, in their stress, in the weight that they've been carrying for far too long. And God, I pray that you would be their peace. Wrap them up in your love and remind them that they don't have to do this alone. That they were never meant to just survive, and they were never meant to live a life in constant state of exhaustion or overwhelm. Remind them that you created them for more than just getting through the day, but that you created them to thrive. Lord, I pray that you would begin to lift the burdens that they have carried for so long. The pressure to always be strong, to always have it together, or to always be the one holding everything up. Lord, I ask that you would gently remind them that they don't have to do it alone, and that they don't have to earn their rest, they don't have to hustle for their worth, and they don't have to try and prove their value to anyone. Lord, I pray that you would remind them that their worth is already secure in you, and they are already enough. God, I pray for their nervous system, I pray for their mind, and I pray for their body that has been stuck in a cycle of stress for far too long. I ask that you would bring regulation, bring stillness, and bring rest to their body and their mind. Lord, help them to breathe deeply again, and to feel safe again, and to know that it is okay to slow down. I pray against the lies that has been telling them that they have to keep pushing, they have to do more, be more, and they can't stop. Lord, it says in your word, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." So Lord, I ask that you would help them truly receive their rest. Let them lay down their burdens at your feet and trust that you will carry them. I pray that you would help them reconnect with themselves again, the version of them that isn't just surviving, but is truly thriving and fully alive. Lord, I pray that you would bring back the joy that they might have lost, and bring the creativity that they have set aside, and help them have dreams that have felt out of reach. Help them to slow down long enough to feel again, and to be present in their own life, and to embrace the small moments that make life beautiful. And Lord, I pray that in this process of healing, they would draw closer to you, and that they would recognize that true peace does not come from having to have everything figured out, but from knowing that they are held by you, and they don't have to have all of the answers. They don't have to try and fix everything on their own, but they can simply trust you to guide them one step at a time. And Jesus, I ask that you would remind them that they are deeply loved, not for what they do, not for how much they accomplish, but simply because they are yours. Lord, that you cherish them and you delight in them and you long for a personal relationship with them. Lord, I pray that you would help them feel your presence in their everyday life and in the quiet moments, in the stillness, and in the beauty that surrounds them. And Lord, I declare over them today that they are not just surviving anymore, but that they are stepping into thriving. They are worthy of rest, they are worthy of joy, and they are worthy of a life that feels full and abundant. Lord, I pray and I declare that they are safe, they are seen, they are secure, and they are deeply loved in you. Lord, I pray that they are free to slow down and they are able to breathe and to let go. And I declare that they are walking into a season of healing, peace, and alignment with who you created them to be. So thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for the work that you are doing in their heart. Thank you for guiding them. Thank you for healing them. And thank you for reminding them that they don't have to live in survival mode forever. And I pray that even now they would feel the weight lifting, they would feel their spirit exhale, and they would feel a deep knowing that they are safe in your hands. I bless them with your peace, your love, and your rest. And I pray all of this in the most powerful, beautiful, and loving name of Jesus. Amen. All of you be blessed. Bye.